Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I will be your IELTS teacher for this session. I'm broadcasting to you from beautiful Budapest, Hungary, where it's a rainy day. Hi, Baljit. Hi, Neutron. Hi, Shergolf 838. Can somebody let me know that you can hear me okay and you can see the board behind me all right? Hi, Jeffrey. Hi, Arcana. Nice to see a couple of sponsors jumping in as well. Good luck to you, JS7, on your June 30th exam. Everything's great. That's awesome. All right, so today, June 14th, 2018, of course, we're looking at a reading passage for academic IELTS. This is coming out of test number 4 from our products, and it's passage 2. To help you pass IELTS, definitely check out our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Now, I have a little bit more exciting news for you. We have just recently updated our app in your Google Play Store. We don't have it on Apple yet, but we're going to get it there soon. So if you have Android, go to your Google Play Store and search for Academic IELTS Help. You'll see our logo for the app. Download it to your phone, and there are a lot of goodies there for you to help you practice IELTS on the go. So definitely check out the app, download it, use it, learn from it, and improve your IELTS scores. Using our app, using our full course, you're definitely going to give yourself a great chance to pass. Oh, and by the way, the app is free. That's also very good news for you. Hi, Alexei. Thanks for booking on our site. Just make sure to use those materials every single day, okay? There's a 30-day and a 60-day lesson plan in there for you. So, all right, girls and guys, moving on. So we are in the 14th today. It's a reading section. And then tomorrow we'll talk about a writing task 2. No class on the weekend this week. We'll be back Monday the 18th with some listening practice. So keep an eye on the schedule. It's in the videos. It's also in the comments on our channel. All right, let's jump right into it. So we are looking at this reading passage today. The title is, Why Do Some People Have Red Hair? Okay, so that's the title of this passage. We will look at the questions. We'll go through the passage. But first, I'd like you to just focus on your reading fluency. So I'm going to play the audio for this passage. Please read along with the audio. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to our website here, our academic one. The reading passages are a little bit different on our general site for sure. This is our academic site. It's the blue site. If you're looking for general IELTS, make sure to go to the green background, the GIELTS site. Log in at the top. You can try this for free as well. If you like it, join the full course and use it. All right, so you have a lot of different benefits when you have the full course. Of course, you have all of our audios. There are many, many CDs and many, many different exercises. So this is coming from test number 4, and it'll be reading passage number 2. So it's CD 4, track number 6. Everybody ready to do some reading? I hope so, because the audio is about to start. Okay.
Why do some people have red hair? Red hair is an exceedingly rare trait, especially in areas of the world such as Asia, Africa, and South America. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common. In some countries, such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe, such as the United States and Canada, also show high incidences of red hair. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, if not far longer. There are ancient Greek accounts of redheads, and even ancient Egyptian ones. The story of why people have red hair is interesting, and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. The gene for red hair is what is known as a recessive gene, which means that the gene can only be passed down to the next generation if both parents possess the gene. And even then, the probability is only 25%. But it is important to note that not only redheads carry the gene for red-headedness, rather, in some countries, up to 40% of the population carries the gene. This accounts for the birth of a red-headed child to non-red-headed parents. The parents may not be red-headed themselves, but they carry the gene. And if their ancestry was to be analysed, there would surely be redheads up and down their family tree. The specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin-1 receptor, MC1R, and was discovered in 1995 by Professor Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh. This gene is responsible for red hair, along with the other tertiary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin and myriad freckles, for example. But why did people ever have red hair in the first place? The answer, some scientists think, has to do with evolution and geography. The places where red hair is relatively common, Northern Europe and Western Europe, have lower sunshine levels than other parts of the world. This lack of sunshine resulted in a lack of vitamin D production in its inhabitants, exposure to the sun being humans' main source of the nutrient, which can result in rickets, a condition which can lead to the deformity of bones. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to the low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. On one hand, this results in a particular predisposition to sunburn. However, it also allows redheads to avoid rickets even when underexposed to the sun. Redheads also have a number of other curious attributes that are associated with the MC1R gene. First, they have a higher tolerance for pain than non-redheads. Studies have shown that redheads require up to 20% more anesthesia for sedation than non-redheads. Second, redheads are more sensitive to cold temperatures. This is especially curious because red-headedness originally developed as an adaptation for cold, sun-poor environments. Evolution is not perfect, and it may be the case that maladaptation to cold temperatures is the price redheads pay for adaptation to low levels of sunlight. Third, redheads bruise more easily than non-redheads. There does not seem to be any evolutionary reason for such a trait, though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotype of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads. This is not the only negative stereotype that has cursed redheads throughout the centuries. At times in history, redheads have been thought to be witches, evil, unclean, and soulless. Today, these stereotypes have thankfully given way to more cheery stereotypes of redheads as fun and quirky individuals. In recent years, a perception has been created that redheads are dying out and will eventually become extinct as a genetic category. This is patently false. Red hair, as a recessive gene, has the ability to skip generations and return in full force. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, perhaps as many as 100,000 years, and there are no signs of its forthcoming extinction. While redheads may make up a shrinking percentage of the world's population due to higher growth among non-European populations, the redhead gene is here to stay.
All right, so hopefully you were able to follow along at that reader's speed. and go through the text. Now, of course, on our website, we have audio for all of our readings, so I highly recommend those students who have our courses to use that audio to practice their reading fluency. That is absolutely fast enough reading for the IELTS to read the full text. And of course, if you can understand 70% of the text, you should be able to score 7 or even higher. All right, so we're talking about redheads here, and you probably got a good idea of what being a redhead is all about. So let's have a look at the questions, discuss them a little bit, and then we'll go back to the text again, go over the answers, and I'll go through a couple of important strategies you should practice at home. So here we have a complete the sentences below, choose no more than 2 words from the passage for each answer. When I'm doing the actual IELTS, is this a good question to read before the passage? Should I read this type of question before the passage? It's fill in the blanks, 1 sentence answers. Should I be reading this before I read the passage, or should I skip it? Baljit says yes. Van Dennis says yes, it's paraphrasing the passage, and you're absolutely right. So these questions are paraphrasing the passage, so it's good to read them before you read the passage. Is it a good idea to try to skim and scan read for the answers for these questions? So is that a good strategy to answer these, to try to skim and scan for keywords like Western Europe? Should I be skim reading for Western Europe here? Yeah, no, it's not. So that strategy will often fail you, especially if you're trying to get a band score 7 or higher. In this case, I might be able to find the answer for Western Europe for the first one. Remember, on the IELTS, the way the questions work is they also get more and more difficult for each one. So question number 14 is the easiest question from all of these. So in this one, you might be able to skim read for Western Europe, and you might be able to find the answer. No guarantee, but you might be able to. However, for number 17, it's going to be almost impossible. You might be skim reading for MC1R, but that acronym appears at about 4 or 5 different places in the passage, so it's going to take you a lot of time to find it, so it's not the most effective strategy, okay? Again, just a reminder to all the students watching, skimming and scanning work if your goal is a band 5.5 or a 6. If your band goal is 6.5, especially 7 or higher, you really want to use skimming and scanning as a last strategy resort. Only if you've answered all of the questions, there's one that you're really stuck on and you have enough time to go back and search for it. It's really a last resort technique, okay? Skimming, scanning is a last resort technique. IELTS uses way too much paraphrasing to get enough points for a 7, 7.5 if that's your main strategy. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's read these then. So red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. A gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. Evolution and are both causes of the origin of red hair. In addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes many to occur on the skin. Okay, good. So we look over that. Yep, Baljit, this is book 2, test number 4. So it's the first test and it's passage number 2. All right, so the next set of questions is a yes, no, not given. Yes, if the statement agrees with the writer. No, if the statement contradicts the writer. And not given if it's not possible what to say the writer thinks about it. Should I read these ones? Should I read these 4, 5 questions here? 4 questions. Is this a good one? Jeffrey says no. Jeffrey is right. Don't read this question before the passage, because if 1 is not given and 2 are no, then out of these 4 pieces of information, 3 of them are simply confusing. Remember, the brain is not linear, okay? It's not the same as your PC or your mobile phone, which uses linear processing. The brain does not use linear processing. It uses dynamic processing. It uses information from different points at different times. So if you read these before the passage, then by the time you return to the questions, it will be mixed up with all the information in the passage. and you're going to have a really hard time figuring out what's good and what's not. All right, so let's leave those ones. Question 22 to 26, complete the summary using the list of words. Here is the summary, and then here we have a list of words. There are 8 choices. Is this one good to read before the passage? Should I skim read over this to get some sort of an idea of the question? Vandana says yes. Lesha says yes. Jeffrey says, yeah, read it. Come on, do it. So a lot of yeses. Absolutely. Again, it's paraphrasing the passage. So by reading this, it will give you a further insight into the information in the passage. It will give you another perspective on the information. So let's read it. Redhead misconceptions. What does the word misconceptions mean? Anybody? What does the word misconceptions mean? Conceptions, of course, is the fundamental word. Yeah, it means wrong understanding, wrong concept, or false idea. Sure, we'll come back to that in a bit. Yeah, so bad assumptions, false idea, wrong concept, those are all paraphrasing for misconceptions. So these are false ideas about redheads, okay? And of course, if you understand that, it will be much easier for you to answer these questions. Redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes through their history. Notable in some cultures, they were thought to lack a... Today, conversely, they are thought to be enjoyable and people. The perception that redheads are dying out is entirely because of the MC1R gene. Because the MC1R gene is recessive and can miss, redheads have been around for thousands of years, and though the of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay. Okay? Now, you can probably even answer some of these without even having to read the passage. As I said before, logic is your friend in IELTS. IELTS is not just testing your English, it's testing your critical thinking and your aptitude. IELTS is not a test for who can speak like a native English speaker or read or write like one. It is actually testing your ability to effectively and quickly use the English language. All right, so then we go back and we read the passage. So now our goal here is to actually understand what we're reading. So bear with me here again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's read these paragraphs one at a time. I'll throw out a few questions for you, see how effectively you can answer them, and then we'll go back and answer those questions together. All right, so why do some people have red hair? Always read the title, think about it critically. What is this about? Why are we talking about it? Why are we talking about red hair? Girls and guys, what do you think? If I read this title, why do some people have red hair? Why is this interesting? Why are we talking about this? Anybody have an answer why some author somewhere in the world would take their time to write an essay about why do people have red hair? Harmeet says maybe it has to do with genetics. Marasa says, oh, they're fashionable people maybe. Jeffrey says, who knows? Historical immigration, yeah, sure. UK sexy, I think you have the right idea there. They're rare and they're interesting. So for people around the world, arguably the two most interesting hair colors are red and blonde. Quite possibly because they're the rarest of hair colors, and also because it's an unusual color in nature, okay? Brown and black are much more common colors for hair on mammals, so they're unique for people. Absolutely. So it's exciting. It's interesting for us to learn about this. Okay, let's read the first paragraph together. Read with me, nice and loud, girls and guys. I can read it. I'm confident I can. I want you to read with me. Nice and loud. Hear yourself reading. Red hair is an exceedingly rare trait, especially in areas of the world such as Asia, Africa, and South America. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common. In some countries, such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe, such as the United States and Canada, also show high incidences of red hair. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, if not far longer. There are ancient Greek accounts of redheads and even ancient Egyptian ones. The story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. Okay, what is this paragraph about? Again, a little bit of critical active reading practice here, okay, girls and guys? So I've written this down in previous lessons. I'm just going to verbalize it this time. So always practice your active critical reading skills. Read a paragraph, ask yourself, what is it about? Why are they discussing this? How are they discussing this? So what is this paragraph about? What is this paragraph about? Story of redheads is kind of okay. History is kind of an okay answer. Causes of red hair is kind of okay answer as well. Possibilities of why people have red hair is also an okay answer. Origin is also an okay answer. Keep it simple. So think about what's the best why answer here. I would say that it is about the prevalence of red hair in the world. Okay, so this would be my what answer, the prevalence. Anybody know the meaning of that word, prevalence? It means the existence and the popularity of red hair around the world. So the existence and the numbers. Why? Why is this paragraph talking about red hair? So why is this paragraph talking about red hair? What's the answer to the why question? It's actually in the paragraph. Yeah, because it's rare, right? Because the story of why people have red hair is interesting, right? It gives you the answer to the why question near the end of the paragraph, okay? So the reasons behind the existence of red hair is interesting. And then how does it discuss it? Well, gives geographic information, possible reasons, among others, such as history. So that's how the author introduces this information. So tells us that in some parts of the world it's quite common, in other parts it's very, very rare. It's possibly around for thousands and thousands of years, and it has to do with genetics, among other things. So that should be your what, why, how. And again, when you're doing this practice to improve your reading comprehension at home, and it's very important, okay? Our first step was listening to the audio and reading. That was fluency, okay? Now what we're doing is we're focusing on comprehension. And a very good way to improve your reading skills for IELTS and for life is target fluency, target comprehension, and then put the two together, okay? A lot of people, what they're doing at home when they practice is they're trying to practice fluency and comprehension at the same time. It's less effective than practicing them on their own and then combining them together. Again, on our websites, we have very detailed lessons on how to effectively do targeting fluency, targeting comprehension, and then joining those two, all right? So that's the best way, the fastest way to improve your reading skills. If you don't have much time to get ready for the IELTS, you definitely want to do it this way. Target fluency, target comprehension, then put it together, okay? All right, so let's jump back here. Let's go to the next paragraph. Is everything clear so far, girls and guys? I don't want to lose our viewers here. Hi, Marina. Nice to see you in class. Haven't seen you in a while. Everything clear so far? Vandana, thanks for that feedback. Lytton? Okay, good. All right. Not necessarily, Shergel, not for the introduction and the conclusion. That's only true for most of the body paragraphs, okay? All right, great. I'm happy it's clear for everyone. Let's go on to the second paragraph. The gene for red hair is what is known as a recessive gene, which means that the gene can only be passed down to the next generation if both parents possess the gene. And even then, the probability is only 25%. But it is important to note that not only redheads carry the gene for red-headedness. Rather, in some countries, up to 40% of the population carries the gene. This accounts for the birth of a redhead child to non-redheaded parents. The parents may not be redheaded themselves, but they carry the gene, and if their ancestry was to be analyzed, there would surely be redheads up and down their family tree. All right, same question. What is this paragraph about? What is this paragraph trying to tell me? What is the information it wants me to remember for the rest of my life? Hesped Depeche, an excellent answer. Hereditary traits, absolutely. So here, a great answer. That was a very good one for the what? The hereditary traits for red-headedness. Okay. Why? Why is it talking to me about the hereditary traits for red-headedness? Why do you think the author feels, hey, this is an important step for me early in this essay to introduce this genetic topic? Why? Yes, she was Arcana, but not anymore, yeah. Yes, exactly, to shed light. Vandana, that was a good answer. To shed light on the mysteriousness of the frequency of redheads. Yeah, absolutely. To help understand the occurrence of redheadedness or redheads. Absolutely. Very clever. Good. Okay. Got to improve my spelling there on some of these words. There we go. Okay. So, good. That is absolutely the right answer for the why question. Now, let's move to the how question. So, how is the writer explaining this? Well, I'm going to jump your answer here. Usually the how answers are the easier ones by explaining that the gene is recessive and can skip generations. Okay? So that's the how, okay? So we have what, why, how for the introduction. We have what, why, how for body paragraph 1. Great, you're on the right track. So hopefully you have these answers and you're good to go. Now, of course, what you want to do is you want to repeat the same steps at home for all of the other body paragraphs and for the conclusion. Definitely a very important skill to increase your band scores on IELTS, okay? If you can do this effectively and you practice it 4, 5, 6 times at home, I promise you that you will have a much easier time to answer questions. And the big bonus, do you know what it is? So if you practice this at home regularly, maybe some students that are practicing this now from previous classes have learned what the bonus is that you get from doing this. What is the skill that you're able to achieve by doing this? Yeah, Alicia, you definitely want to practice it. You need to ask what, why, how for each paragraph. Practice the questions, practice the answers. What do you think the benefit is? So if you practice this what, why, how at home after you read each paragraph, what skill will you acquire or improve that will really make a difference for you in IELTS and in other parts of your life? Well, you're able to achieve critical reading, Rima. Rima, I think you're a new sponsor. I haven't seen your name before. Make sure you send me an email so I can hook you up with our practice exams. You're partly right. So you acquire critical thinking. But what else will you achieve? I'm looking for a more specific answer here. When comprehension, yes, for sure. And that will lead to some very useful step on IELTS. So after I do this several times, when I get to the questions, think about this. When I get to the questions, the question part, what will I be able to do much more effectively after doing this exercise? There is a clear answer to this. Litton says help in understanding them. Partially, yes. The answer I'm looking for, and this is the magic, is that you'll be able to answer a lot of the questions without needing to look at the passage again. So by doing this exercise, what happens is you don't need to search for answers as much, okay? So by doing this exercise, you will be able to answer more questions with more confidence without having to look back at the passage. This will not only improve your score, but it will also enable you to be more time efficient and save you crucial or vital minutes to search for difficult answers in the reading section. So that's the huge added benefit of doing this exercise and being effective at it, is that you're going to be able to look at the questions and say, okay, I don't need to search for that because I remember that. When I was thinking what, why, how, it was clearly in my answer. And then you answer, so each passage has 13 to 14 or 12 to 14 questions. You'll be able to answer, let's say, 6 or 7 questions with a high level of confidence. And then for those 3 or 4 questions where you're a little bit iffy, the difficult level 8, level 9 questions, you have much more time to go back and look for them. Okay? All right. All right, so let's go back now and read the rest of the passage together. And then answer these questions. So while we're doing this reading, please, as we read, try to think about the what, why, how. So I'll try to read at a comfortable speed here so you can think about the what, why, how as we read. Okay, practice will make you much faster. The specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin 1 receptor, MC1R. And was discovered in 1995 by Professor Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh. This gene is responsible for red hair, along with the other tertiary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin, and myriad freckles, for example. But why did people ever have red hair in the first place? The answer, some scientists think, has to do with evolution and geography. The places where red hair is relatively common, Northern Europe and Western Europe, have lower sunshine levels than other parts of the world. This lack of sunshine resulted in a lack of vitamin D production in its inhabitants, exposure to the sun being humans' main source of the nutrient, which can result in rickets, a condition which can lead to the deformity of bones. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to the low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. On one hand, this results in a particular predisposition to sunburn. However, it also allows redheads to avoid rickets, even when underexposed to the sun. Redheads also have a number of other curious attributes that are associated with the MC1R gene. First, they have a higher tolerance of pain than non-redheads. Studies have shown that redheads require up to 20% more anesthesia for sedation than non-redheads. Second, redheads are more sensitive to cold temperatures. This is especially curious because redheadedness originally developed as an adaptation for cold, sun-poor environments. Evolution is not perfect, and it may be the case that maladaptation to cold temperatures is the price redheads pay for adaptation to low levels of sunlight. Third, redheads bruise more easily than non-redheads. There does not seem to be any evolutionary reason for such a trait, though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotypes of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads. This is not the only negative stereotype that has cursed redheads through the centuries. At times in history, redheads have been thought to be witches, evil, unclean, and soulless. Today, these stereotypes have thankfully given way to more cheery stereotypes of redheads being fun and quirky individuals. In recent years, a perception has been created that redheads are dying out and will eventually become extinct as a genetic category. This is patently false. Red hair as a recessive gene has the ability to skip generations and return in full force. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, perhaps as many as 100,000 years, and there are no signs of its forthcoming extinction. While redheads may make up a shrinking percentage of the world's population due to higher growth among non-European populations, the redhead gene is here to stay. All right, so now let's look at these questions, try to answer them, and then if we must, we'll go back and go from there. But here we go. Number 14. Short answer. Red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. Anybody have an idea of what the answer is for number 14 without looking at the text, just using your logic and what you understood from the reading passage? Northern Europe doesn't make sense, Bogadi. So if I put with Northern Europe from Western Europe, it's nonsense. North Europe does not make sense. Red hair is common in countries. Pay attention to the question. Which countries are we talking about? I'm going to help you to figure out how to answer this question without looking. So this has to represent countries, right? Red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. Scotland is in Western Europe, so it can't be from Western Europe. Okay? Can't be Scotland because Scotland is in Western Europe. Jeffrey, you have the right answer, but before that, let's show why, okay? Which countries is red hair common in? Change the question. Which countries is red hair common in? Scotland, right? Western Europe? Okay, Pachu, very good. So red hair is common in Canada and the USA. Very good. So if you're able to think about that, okay, red hair is common in countries like Western Europe, Scotland, and so on, but it's also common in Canada and the USA. The passage says that there are other countries where red hair is common, like Canada and the USA. And Canada and USA are countries with what from Western Europe? Jeffrey gave us the answer there with immigration. So here you can see that when you have the answer, it makes sense. You're like, oh yeah, of course, that absolutely makes sense. Red hair is common in countries with immigration from Western Europe, or immigrants from Western Europe is okay as well. I'm sure they would take immigrants race if that's your answer, or Fatima. Okay, but you have to pay attention to this part of the question, and you have to pay attention to this preposition. In countries from Western Europe, it has to be a word that makes sense there. Okay, you don't have to go back to the passage to be able to answer this question if you're paying attention to the details of the question. All right, so let's go to the next one. This one's maybe even easier than number 14. So let's keep that. A something gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. Girls and guys, if your aim for IELTS is 6.5 or higher and you're going back to search for the answer for this one, you're in trouble. I don't mean to be a negative Sally here, but the reality is that this kind of answer you should definitely have without looking back at the passage, okay? And it looks like some students definitely have it. In fact, if you have some knowledge from your grade 12, grade 11 biology class or science class, you should probably be able to answer this question without even knowing the reading passage, okay? So here, it's recessive. Again, remember, academic IELTS is testing your knowledge, not just your English skills. So recessive is correct. The only time you should go back to the passage for this one is if you need to check the spelling. Okay, the spelling has to be correct here. If you don't remember how to spell it, then look for it, but you should know the answer. So you should be able to say, hey, that's got to be recessive, okay? So a recessive gene is one which requires both parents. Bonus question, girls and guys, what's the other gene? So the other gene category. If recessive gene needs both parents, which is the category that requires only one parent to have? For example, brown or dark eyes, or dark hair, dark skin color. Vandana, that's right, it's a dominant gene. So that's called a dominant gene. Girls and guys who are watching where this is new information, take notes, okay? You should be writing these down. If you knew that it's dominant, good for you. If you know that that's dominant, you should know that's recessive and be able to answer it. Evolution and something are both causes of the origin of red hair. Again, this should be fairly easy. We're still into the easier answer. It won't be genetics because evolution is genetics. So that if you think genetics here, that's not good thinking because you're saying the same answer twice. So evolution and genetics are the same. They're synonyms, okay? Evolution is the study of genetics. So the answer has to be geography. What geography causes red hair? What is the geography that causes red hair? So again, with these fill in the blanks, you have to make sure that your answer makes sense in the sentence. That's absolutely key. You need to check that. Yeah, that's right. Lack of sunshine. So low levels of sunshine, and those areas tend to be cold, right? Makes sense. If you have a lot of sunshine, it creates warmth. So in most cases, of course. All right. So, so far, so good. In addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes something to occur on the skin. Now, if you have this word in English, great, you can probably answer this easily. If you don't know, you might have to go back and check. So you maybe have seen this on some people, these little dots that are on a person's face. So here, if I draw a picture for you, okay, there's a little guy there. It's a very simple drawing. Happy little guy. And if they have these little dots, okay, so those little dots in English are called freckles. and a lot of people consider them quite cute. If you don't know the answer to this, then you should remember that there was a paragraph about the MC1R gene and about the tertiary effects, so the additional causes. So if I had to go back and check, I would look for that MC1R gene, which is my third paragraph. I remember it was somewhere in the first few paragraphs. And then I can maybe look for the word skin. Okay, I don't see it there. Oh, there it is. So skin. Okay, so first I looked for MC1R, then I tried to find the word skin, and there's skin, and myriad of freckles, for example. So there's the word freckles. I know the spelling now if I didn't know it before. Definitely don't misspell if you found it. And there's our little guy. Freckles it is. Okay, has to be plural. It's countable. If you don't have that S in the answer sheet, 17, then you'll get it wrong. Now, in the reading section, you're actually putting these answers directly into your answer sheet. Kind of a potato guy, Jeffrey, kind of a potato guy. All right. Okay, let's look at the next set of questions here. It's one that a lot of students are worried about, the yes, no, not given. Hopefully you're doing okay until this part. This is reading passage 2, so you should try to get at least 10, 11 out of 14 correct if you're going for a 7, 7.5, because passage 3 will be more difficult, okay? So, questions 18 to 21, do the statements agree with the claims of the passage of the author? Yes, no, not given. Number 18, excess sunshine causes rickets. Is that true according to the author? Is it false? Or, sorry, I should say no, that's not what the author believes. Yes, that's what the author believes, or the author doesn't give us information on that one. Well, first of all, of course, remember the strategy. Is it important? So I know some of you already are giving me the answer, and they're good answers. Is it important to know whether or not sunshine, lack of, or too much is the cause of rickets? Is that an important piece of information? Yes, absolutely it's important. Why is it important? Well, because it's the adaptive or evolutionary underpinning of red-headedness, right? It's why scientists believe redhead came into existence because of this rickets. So yes, it's important. Is it true? Many of you already gave me the answer, no. So the answer is no, okay? That's the strategy for yes, no, not given. That's the strategy for true, false, not given. Ask yourself, is it important for this topic? If it's a yes or a no, then it has to be a yes, no. If it's true, it will be a yes or true. If it's no, then it will be a false or a no. If your answer to the first question, is it important, and your answer is no, then the answer will be not given. Okay? I hope that's clear for everyone. All right. Excess sunshine causes rickets, so the answer is no. We have that. Next one. High amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Is it important to know how eumelanin affects vitamin D absorption? Is it important? So here's the full question. Is it important to know the level, what levels of eumelanin, I'll write it into the next space here, is important. I'm writing this down because I find a lot of times students don't understand what the question is that they need to ask. Is important to absorb vitamin D. So is it important? Now I see some students are saying yes. Jeffrey's saying I think it is if you put it that way. Haspit says we don't care about that. Yeah, it is important. Eumelanin is what's helping humans to absorb vitamin D. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's important, that high amounts of eumelanin is related in some way. Let's have a look. Now, this word, did you see it in many places? No. So if you have time, this is one where you might say, hey, okay, I think I only saw this in one place, somewhere near that MC1R gene. So if I have time, I'm looking at the clock. I have at least another 10 minutes for this passage. I'm going to go back and see what I can find out about this eumelanin. Oh, there it is. Look, I can see it there. Let me put it to the top there for you. So there is eumelanin. So here, let's read the sentence then. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. Okay, so they have low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. So the MC1R gene helps them to more easily absorb vitamin D. So what does that mean then? So high amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Is it important? Yes, it is important because it's related. So the answer must be, if redheads have low amounts of eumelanin, then it means that high amounts are the opposite, right? So Jeffrey's got it. It's got to be the opposite. So high amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Low amounts, no. So no is the answer, right? Okay, good. So hopefully that's clear. Again, if you're not sure and you have time, go back and take a look. All right, number 20. Redheads have difficulty adapting to their environments. Is it important? To know if, what's the rest of the question? So again, with these yes, no, not given ones, the trick is to have the right question. So what's the rest of my question? Is it important to know what? What's the rest of this question? So my challenge for you here is finish the rest of this question. Redheads have difficulty adapting to their environments. Is it important to know if what? If redheads have difficulty adapting today. Okay? Notice the tense, have difficulty adapting to their environments. It's present tense. It's speaking generally. Okay? So here, if redheads have difficulty adapting today, okay? That's a general statement. Is it important for us to know that redheads have difficulty adapting today to their environments? Is that important for this topic? No, absolutely not. So the answer for that one will be not given. The author doesn't talk about redheads' adaptation today. The author talks about the historic or the evolutionary adaptation. So it's not given. It doesn't talk about redheads easily adapting to their environments today or not. That would be weird. We live in a very modern, advanced world. where humans simply just put on coats and take vitamin D pills. Okay, number 21. Redheads are less physically capable than non-redheads. Redheads are physically less capable than non-redheads. 21, not given. Right? So here, there's no yes. It's just no, no, not given, not given. Okay? That's the answer here. It doesn't say that redheads are less physically capable. Okay? It says that they bruise more easily. It says that they require more anesthesia, so they require more painkillers, but that doesn't mean that they're physically less capable than people that don't have red hair. That just doesn't make sense. Obviously, the author wouldn't talk about that. In places where there's low sunlight, they're more capable because they absorb vitamin D better. So it's not discussed, it's not given. Okay? It's not important to this topic. All right, so no, no, not given, not given. Let's go for the summary completion. Redhead misconceptions. This one you have to choose from this list. Okay. You should try to answer without looking at the words first. And then once you know the answer yourself, then pick the word or see if there's a word that's close to that. So this is false understanding of redheads. Redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes. What does the word stereotypes mean? Anybody? What does the word stereotypes mean? That's a very good question. I'm going to show you that in a moment, okay? So just give me a second and I'll show that to you. Prejudice, stereotypes can be a prejudice, yep. Common thoughts. Yeah, another way people say stereotypes is labels or labeling people, okay? Like on a product, putting a label on it. So labeling, labels is a good synonym for that one. Sometimes it can be a prejudice, Leisha, that's right, okay? So it's a common conception, a common idea, or common label. Okay, so redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes. Now, negative stereotypes are often prejudice throughout their history. Notable, in some cultures, they were thought to lack what? Anybody remember from the passage? They were thought to be witches, they were thought to be evil, and they were thought to lack what? Not have something. Anybody remember what it was? That's right, Jeffrey. It said that they're soulless, and soulless means not have a soul. Right? So, do we have that option? Hey, look at that. Number F, soul. So, it's got to be soul because we have the negative already in there. Lack a soul. Pretty weird thought, but hey, there have been a lot of strange notions in past history. All right, so don't put soul in your answer sheet because you'll get that wrong. You'll have to put the letter, and in this case, the letter is F, okay? So be very careful. Don't write the word, write the letter. So this has to be F, okay? Don't lose easy marks. Today, conversely, they are thought to be enjoyable and what people? Anybody remember what that word was for number 23? They're enjoyable, so the passage said they're funny and something people. Yeah, quirky. For those of you who don't know what quirky means, it's a kind of attitude where they're kind of fun-loving, giggly, smiley. Super bonus question to everybody. Why do you think that red-headed people might be quirky or funny people? Let's see who's using their critical thinking with this passage. So if you use some good critical thinking, why are red-headed people thought to be funny and quirky, and why might that be true? Why might red-headed people around the world often be a little bit more funny or a little bit more quirky than other people? Like Anne of Green Gables, Jeffrey, absolutely. Or Carrot Top is a very famous comedian in North America. Carrot Top, by the way, also refers to having red hair. Maybe their appearance, yes, but use a little bit of critical thinking here and you might come to the same hypothesis that I'm thinking of. So what do you think? What do you think? What could be a hypothesis for why red-headed people are funny and quirky? So quirky is B. We want to give that answer. So let's put in B. And let's see if anybody answered here. Yeah, Baljeet, very good. You're thinking genes. Hey, absolutely. That was my first thought. If having red hair has that MC1R gene, which allows me to be more absorbent for vitamin D, now if I have red hair and I'm living in a country with more sunshine, because people move around the world today, it means that I have very good production of vitamin D. And what's another way to call vitamin D? What is another way to say vitamin D? And I'm sure in many of your languages, you also have the same expression. Vitamin D is also known as what? As a something vitamin, but let's see if somebody can come up with it. If people don't have vitamin D, they become very depressed and sad and often have what's called seasonal affective disorder, which is a depression that they get into. Yeah, that's right, Vandana. It's called the happy vitamin, right? So for those of you who don't know, I'll remind you of this because, hey, it'll keep you, it'll remind you that you need to make sure you have enough vitamin D. That's why people in sunny countries tend to be more happy. Unfortunately, there tend to be more suicides in countries with less sunshine. So vitamin D is also known as the happy vitamin, right? And if you didn't know that before, now you know. So of course, if you're a redhead and you're absorbing all that vitamin D from the sunshine, then you might be a quirky happy. It's also a beauty vitamin. Yes, it does help your skin and your skin tone. Okay, so F, B, and let's go on. The perception that redheads are dying out is entirely what? So the perception, the understanding that redheads are becoming extinct, I remember the passage said extinct, is entirely what? False. That's right. Very good. Happy to see those sponsors getting pretty quick on these. Do we have that? Yes, we do. A. It's false. So again, just put the letter. Make sure you don't use the word. Okay. Don't write F. Okay. It's not a true, false, not given. You have to write A. Because the MC1R gene is recessive and can miss something. What can the MC1R recessive gene miss? So here again, answer on your own. See if you can find the matching answer. So it's a recessive gene and can miss what? What can it miss? It can miss a generation. Yeah, it can skip. It can skip the parents, skip the grandparents. Boom, your child is born. It has red hair. Hey, look, my kid's got red hair. So let's see. Do we have it? It can miss generations. G, it is. G for generations. It makes sense there. Okay, redheadedness has been around for thousands of years, and though the something of redheads in the world may, let's move this up. So redheadedness has been around for thousands of years, and though the something of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay. There's one word there that makes number. Proportion is a good thought, but proportion is not the right answer, though the number. Okay, number is a better answer, H, because we don't know the proportion. We don't know what the future has, but the numbers may decrease. So it should be H. Now, it could be proportion. I might get that wrong. Who knows? But I'm not going to panic, okay? And I'm not going to put down both. I'm going to stay with number. Though the number of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay, okay? Number makes more sense than proportion. All right. So, girls and guys, I believe that was our last set of questions. Yes. Another exercise, we're not going to finish just yet. I want to remind you and show you of something important. One of the students asked us, what do I do if I don't understand the words in the passage? Well, you should practice your vocabulary at home every day. You should practice 3 to 5 new words. If you are doing your reading and you see a new word like misconception, then take your vocabulary book, write the word misconception into the book. If you don't know the word conception, start with that. Write it into your book, and then write down the definition. So that's what we did a little bit earlier, right? Here we have the word misconception. So misconception means false idea or wrong understanding, right? We wrote it down. What should I do with this new vocabulary? So here we have it. I'm going to say it's a noun, right? So this is a noun. It means false idea. So I write all this down in my vocabulary book. Wrong understanding. And you should do this with all of the words that you come across in your reading passages. Write down the word, write down the part of language, write down the definition, and then what should you do after you write that down? So what are your mnemonics, Pavan? What can you do for mnemonics for new vocabulary? And I'm hoping that some students remember some things from previous lessons that I've taught them about vocabulary learning. So what is an effective way to do vocabulary learning? So write an example sentence, yeah. And your example sentence should have 3 important parts to it. So you make a sentence. What is important about your example sentence? Your example sentence should be complex or compound, interesting, and include yourself. Okay. So when you write an example sentence, don't write something like all of Canada. All of Canada is very cold. This is a misconception. That's not a good example. Okay. So this is a bad sentence. For learning. Okay. Why? Because it's not too exciting, it's not too interesting, it doesn't include myself, and it's not really a complex sentence. It is a little bit because of the during, but it's not complex enough, okay? And I see some of the students now that watch these classes regularly are cluing in, and they're saying, yeah, okay, and 3 days later you got to paraphrase your answer. So somebody's saying I have a better one. I have a misconception about Indian culture that all people there like to wear orange clothes. Okay? So here I have a good start. I have a misconception about Indian culture that all people there like to wear orange clothes. And that's getting to be more interesting. And then I make it complex because this color represents wealth. Okay? Now I'm just making this up, girls and guys. But that would be a good example sentence. So you include the word misconception, you include yourself, and you make it interesting and complex and compound somehow. Jeffrey says, come on, man, orange shirt is amazing. You know, Jeffrey, I got my favorite orange shirt on in some classes as well. But that's why I'm using this as an example. And then 3 days later, you want to paraphrase it. So this is what you want to do with all the new vocabulary that you learn from these reading passages, okay? My misconception about you being a pervert changed after I saw your true side. Vandana, that's a great example. It's funny, it's interesting, it's got the complex component, and it's good. All right, Vandana, good. And look, Manolin is jumping in and laughing at what you just said. That's great. Funny examples are good, even though it's a little bit on the sexual side, a little bit weird, but it's good. It's funny, okay? Just don't go too bizarre. Well, you know what? Even too bizarre. If it's at home for yourself, it's fine, as long as it helps you to remember, recall, and use the vocabulary. Okay, not just remember it, but be able to use it. Okay, girls and guys, that's it for today. That's today's lesson for reading passage 2, test number 4, again, coming out of our websites. But the big news today, go to your Google Play Store, check out our app. You can access our website from our app. This is our academic one. We don't have one for general yet. We will. Search for Academic IELTS Help, and you'll find our app. You'll see this logo. Download it. There's some really cool free listening interactive tests, some reading tests there for you to get you started. A really good video list to watch some full HD videos. So check it out. Download that app. Have some fun with it. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's got pretty good reviews, so it seems like everybody's liking it out there. And we'll be adding things to this app, so it'll be really useful for you in the coming weeks and coming months. We will be launching iOS probably in the next 1 or 2 weeks, Pavan, so I'll let you know that for sure in the live class. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Keep up the good studies at home. You have beautiful brains, beautiful minds. We had a couple of great success stories from some of our students just this past week. One of them just got a job, it looks like, in England, so we're really proud of that and happy to help all of you. Keep up the good work. Have a wonderful rest of your day and sweet, beautiful dreams for those of you going to bed. Much love to everyone. I'll catch you tomorrow at the same time. Bye for now.